Hey there. The terrorist attack in Kashmir on the 22nd sadly claimed the lives of 26 tourists. Among them were 25 Indians and one Nepali national. Right now, the diplomatic issues between India and Pakistan are like a hidden spark waiting to ignite, and things are getting pretty tense. This recent attack is linked to a group called TURF, which has some ties to Pakistan. They knew full well that taking this action would provoke a strong response from the Indian government. Following the attack, India wasted no time in moving to cancel the Memorandum of Understanding it had with Pakistan regarding the Indus River water project. They also shut down the border at Ataria, causing a lot of trouble for Pakistanis who were in India at the time trying to cross back. On top of that, India took steps to quickly send several Pakistani army officers who were on its territory back to Pakistan, and it doesn't stop there. India has kicked off a series of operations to hunt down pro-Pakistani armed groups within its borders. Pakistan hasn't exactly responded positively to these actions either. As you can see, things are really heating up. There's a real chance that tensions could escalate into war between India and Pakistan again soon. If that happens, it's bound to have a significant impact on the South Asian region. Both India and Pakistan are major regional powers with strong militaries and advanced military technology. A conflict between them wouldn't be small or straightforward. Plus, in such a scenario, preventing widespread destruction would be nearly impossible. So we thought it would be interesting to speculate on which side might come out on top in such a war. Stick around until the end of this valuable video to find out more. If a war were to break out between India and Pakistan, we could get a rough idea of which side might come out on top by looking at the wars they have fought in the past. Take the Kargil War, for instance, which lasted 42 days back in 1999. At that time, India's costs for that conflict were between 700 and 900 crore Indian rupees. If we adjust that for 2025, it would be around 4,900 crore Indian rupees, based on the Consumer Price Index. So, if a similar war were to happen in 2025, India would likely spend about 700 crore Indian rupees just for that. Plus, for a current conflict, we'd need to use much more advanced technology than what was available 26 years ago. Think high-tech drones, satellite-guided missile systems, and cyber defense units, just to name a few. Because of this, the costs we're discussing could rise significantly, potentially by about 6 times. If the Kargil War of 1999 were to take place today, India would be looking at spending roughly 400 million Indian rupees each day. The same would apply to Pakistan. So, if we calculate the total for a full 42-day war, India's expenses alone would surpass 17,500 million Indian rupees. And that's just the battlefield costs. There are plenty of other expenses that come into play when waging a war, like preparing various locations for emergencies, handling paperwork, supplying fuel to the front lines, and upgrading infrastructure, all of which are pricier now than they were back then. Taking everything into account, the total cost for India for the entire war would exceed 49,000 crore Indian rupees when we convert that into American dollars. It's nearly 6 billion. Now let's get to the most crucial part of the story. Can India and Pakistan really afford to spend this much on a war right now? Well, India seems to be in a better position. By 2025, the Indian economy is projected to hit around $4 trillion, and they have foreign reserves of about $700 billion. Their annual defense budget is around 6.81 lakh crore Indian rupees, which is roughly 80 billion US dollars. So they'd be spending less than 1% of their annual GDP on a war, and about 7% of their defense budget. This means India could handle the costs of such a conflict without too much trouble. On the other hand, Pakistan's situation is a bit trickier. After going through an economic crisis, they only had $15.6 billion in foreign reserves as of January 2025, and their external debt has climbed to $124 billion. Inflation is still over 15%, and they're currently in a deal with the IMF to fund a large-scale war. They'd either need to make significant cuts to other expenses or rely heavily on foreign aid and loans. Plus, they'd face more political pressure from the international community compared to India. When you look at it this way, Pakistan's ability to engage in such a war is much lower than India's. Even if they tried to cut their war spending by 25% compared to India, it would still cost them over 12,000 Indian rupees, which is nearly 1.5 billion US dollars. That's almost 10% of their current foreign exchange reserves. So, if Pakistan has to shoulder such a cost in their current situation, it could really put them in a tough spot. In short, they could be looking at a potential bankruptcy. So, what we can definitely say is that if an Indo-Pakistani war were to happen right now, Pakistan's chances of winning are pretty slim. Before we wrap up this video, we wanted to share a numerical analysis that highlights the military capabilities of both India and Pakistan. We've rated them based on 10 different criteria. Both the Indian and Pakistani armies rank among the top forces in the world, sitting in the top 15 of global military rankings. India holds the 4th spot, while Pakistan comes in at 12th. So India scores a point here. As we mentioned earlier, India's GDP is over $4 trillion, while Pakistan stands at $375 billion. That means India gets another point for this criterion. Now, when it comes to nuclear weapons, the situation changes a bit. India is estimated to have around 160 nuclear weapons, while Pakistan, which is quite close, has more than 165. So, Pakistan takes this point. Looking at defense spending, India's annual budget is between $75 and $80 billion, whereas Pakistan spends only $7.6 billion. India also has a larger military force, with over 5 million personnel compared to Pakistan's 1.7 million, giving India another point. In terms of battle tanks, India has more than 4,000, while Pakistan has about 2,500. So India wins this one too. India boasts nearly 150,000 military armored vehicles, while Pakistan has fewer than 20,000, which means another point for India. When it comes to rocket launchers though, Pakistan is ahead with 600 compared to India's 264. In the air, India has over 2,900 warplanes, including the Kafir, while Pakistan has around 1,800. The same goes for combat helicopters, where India has close to 1,000 and Pakistan has only 425, giving India another score for air power. On the naval front, India has about 600 warships, including submarines and attack ships, while Pakistan has just over 200. So India takes the point for naval power as well. In total, out of the 10 points we looked at regarding military capabilities, India leads with 8-2. Finally, it's important to note that if a war were to break out between India and Pakistan right now, no citizen from either country would benefit. There could also be some indirect effects on other nations. So, as always, we hope on our channel, The Life, that such a war never happens.